My phone is on fire in my hand, and I'm standing in a line that is not moving, surrounded by people calmly boarding a plane, like the world isn't collapsing, while my screen keeps flashing the same 3 names over and over: Mom, Dad, Tessa, and a 4th one that makes my throat go tight. Family group chat, 247 new messages. Then the notification that started all of this pops up again, like it's proud of itself. Your video reached 2.1 M views. I blink at it, like if I stare long enough, it'll turn back into a normal number. Behind it, another alert. Request. Interview. Child-free at 50Z feature. Another. Podcast invite. Another. Good morning segment. Availability. And then, like a slap, a screenshot lands in my DMs from someone I haven't spoken to in years. My cousin Marlene, showing my own face frozen mid-laugh in a travel reel with a caption slapped across it. She chose no kids. Now she's 50 and free. I can feel people looking because I've stopped walking and my suitcase is angled awkwardly, and I'm pretty sure I just made a noise like I got hurt. The gate agent says, "Ma'am?" And I lift one finger like I'm negotiating with the universe. My mother calls again, then my dad, then Tessa, my sister, twice in a row. The group chat icon has a red bubble so big it looks like a wound. I tap it, because apparently I like pain, and the first thing I see is my mom's message in all caps. "Why would you post that about us?" followed immediately by my dad. "Call me now," followed by Tessa. "Are you trying to humiliate me in front of everyone?" Then, my brother Mark, who usually stays silent until he can pick a side safely. "Guess you finally found a way to brag." And then, someone, God knows who, drops the link to the travel blog that reposted my reel with the headline, "The 50-year-old solo traveler who didn't change her mind." I'm still in the boarding line when my phone rings from an unknown number, and I answer because my brain is running on adrenaline and habit. "Hi, is this Maya?" a bright voice says. "It's Leanne from Channel 7. Sorry, I know this is sudden, but your video is everywhere, and—" I cut her off, too sharp. I'm literally boarding a plane. She laughs like it's cute. "Even better. Can we get 2 minutes? Just a quick live cross." My mom calls again mid-sentence, and my screen splits between Mom and Channel 7, and I almost drop the phone. I swallow, force my voice into something that won't get clipped into a meme. "Email me," I say. "Not now." I hang up, and it immediately rings again. Tessa this time. And my stomach does that sinking thing it does when you know the next sound you hear is going to try to rearrange your insides. I answer Tessa because she'll just keep calling until I can't ignore it. And the second I say hello, she explodes. "So you're just—" "What? You're just going to post videos like you're some inspirational queen while I'm wiping vomit off a couch?" Her voice is shaking, angry and thin. I can hear a kid yelling in the background. "People are sending it to me, Maya. People I haven't talked to since high school. They're like, 'Wow, your sister's living the dream.' And I'm sitting here with 3 kids and a husband who works nights, and a landlord who—" She stops to breathe, then goes lower, meaner. "You knew what you were doing." "What I was doing," I repeat, because my brain is snagging on the audacity. The line inches forward. A little boy in front of me is dragging a stuffed giraffe by the neck. I can't believe this is happening in public. "It's a travel reel," I say. "It's 30 seconds of a temple and my suitcase." "You talked about not having kids," she snaps. "You said you're 50 and you're not tied down. You said, 'Everyone told me I'd regret it.' That's about us. That's about Mom. That's about me." Before I can answer, my mum's name flashes again, and my sister says, "Don't you dare ignore her," like she's my supervisor. Then the family group chat pings again, and someone posts a screenshot that makes my mouth go dry. It's an old Facebook memory from 10 years ago, a photo from my cousin's baby shower, and my mum's comment under it, in that fake, sweet tone she uses when she wants people to applaud her cruelty. Maya says she's not the mothering type. We'll see how long that lasts. Under the screenshot, my aunt writes, "This is why she's doing this. She's always been selfish." I stop in the line. Fully stop. My suitcase bumps the person behind me, and they hiss, "Excuse me," and I barely register it, because something hot is climbing up my neck into my face. I scroll. More screenshots. More memories. A message from Mark from years ago. "Have fun dying alone with your stamps." Another from my dad. "No grandkids from you means you owe us in other ways." And then, like a cruel punchline, someone has pinned my reel in the group chat, and people are reacting to it in real time. Laugh emojis. Eye roll emojis. Then my mum. Delete it. Then my dad. "Else we are not doing this today." Then Tessa. "You always do this. You always need attention." My heart is pounding so hard I can feel it in my throat. The boarding line moves again, but I don't. I'm stuck in this weird frozen state, where my body is in an airport, and my family is in my phone, clawing at me through glass. I take a breath, and do the one thing I have avoided for 20 years, because it makes me the villain in their story. I open the group chat and type, thumbs steady, even though my hands are shaking. If my life embarrasses you, stop watching. I'm not deleting anything. I'm not discussing my body, my choices, or your finances in this chat. Do not call me to yell at me in an airport. I hit send. Immediately, my mum calls again. My dad calls. Tessa calls. Back to back like a coordinated attack. I watch the screen light up, and I don't answer. Then I make the bold move that I know will be unforgivable to them, because it removes their favorite weapon, private guilt. I open my public page where the reel is blowing up, and I pin a comment at the top, short and boring and impossible to twist into a confession. Please, don't contact my family about this video. I'm not available for debates about my choices. I post it. Then I turn off comments for an hour, because I'm not feeding the circus. I put my phone on airplane mode before I even get on the plane, like I'm slamming a door in someone's face. The silence hits so hard, it feels like stepping underwater. To understand why this feels unreal, you need to know what my family was saying about me before today, and what they decided I was worth, once they realized I wouldn't give them the life they wanted to show off. I was the oldest. That meant I was the practice child, the one my mum learned on, the one she corrected in public, the one she used as a warning for the others. I did well in school, not because I was naturally gifted, but because I liked the quiet certainty of grades. You do the work, you get the result. At home, nothing worked like that. At home, the rules shifted depending on my mum's mood and who was watching. When I was 19, I said I didn't want kids right away. I didn't even say never. I said not right away, because I was in my second year of uni, and I was broke and terrified of turning into my mum, always tired, always resentful, always blaming her children for the shape of her life. My mum didn't hear not right away. She heard a personal insult. She started bringing it up at every family event like it was a quirky thing about me, like I was a vegetarian who made everyone uncomfortable. "Maya thinks babies are sticky," she'd say, laughing. Maya says she wants to travel instead of settling down. People would chuckle politely, and then look at me with that pitying smile, like I'd admitted I didn't believe in gravity. My dad would add little jabs like, "Don't worry, you'll change your mind when your clock starts ticking." If I pushed back, if I said, "I'm not sure," my mum would go tight in the jaw and say, "Don't embarrass me." When I was 26, I got married. Not because my family pressured me, but because I genuinely loved him. Evan was kind in a quiet way. He didn't compete with me. He didn't need to win every conversation. For a while, it felt like we were building something solid. Then the baby conversations started, not from him at first, but from everyone else, every holiday, every barbecue. "When are you two making us grandparents?" My mum's voice would turn syrupy in front of people. "We're just so excited," she'd say, hand on my stomach like my body was public property. I used to step back. She used to step forward. Evan didn't care at first. He'd squeeze my hand and whisper, "Ignore them." But ignoring a drip of poison doesn't stop it from accumulating. It just means you get used to the taste. Eventually, his parents started too. "You'd be such a great mum," they'd say. They meant it as a compliment. I heard it as a trap. I started to feel like everyone was looking at my life like a schedule I was failing to follow. I tried to do it the right way, once. I tried to see if my hesitation was fear or truth. I went to a therapist. I read books. I sat with myself in uncomfortable silence and asked what I actually wanted, separate from what would make other people relax. What I realized, slowly and painfully, was that the idea of motherhood didn't light anything up in me. It made my chest tighten. It made my skin crawl. It made me feel like I was walking toward a door that would lock behind me. When I told Evan, properly, not in a vague, maybe later, but in a calm, honest, "I don't think I want kids," he went quiet for a long time. Then he said, "Okay." I thought that meant we were okay. It didn't. It meant he was swallowing it. He tried to be okay for a year. He made jokes about us being the cool aunt and uncle. He said he liked our freedom. Then one night, he came home from his brother's place. His brother had just had a baby, and he stood in the kitchen staring at the fridge like it had answers. He said very softly, "I held her today." I said, "Yeah." He nodded, eyes shiny, and said, "I want that." That was the beginning of the end. Not because we fought constantly. We didn't. It was worse. We were kind to each other while realizing we wanted different lives. We went to counseling. We tried to see if there was a middle ground. There isn't. You can't have half a child. You can't compromise a person into existence. Eventually, Evan told me he couldn't stay married to a future that didn't include kids. I didn't scream. I didn't throw things. I sat on the floor of our bedroom and felt my whole rib cage ache like something had been removed. When we divorced, my family treated it like proof I'd been wrong all along. My mum didn't say, "Are you okay?" She said, "Well, now you've made your bed." My dad said, "Men want families. You can't blame him." Tessa, who was already pregnant with her first at the time, looked at me like I was a tragic cautionary tale. "I don't get it," she said. "Like, what's the point of marriage if you're not building a family?" I remember staring at her belly and thinking not cruelly, just honestly, that she had no idea what she was signing up for. She'd grown up thinking children were what you did to be considered successful, like a trophy you earned by being normal. After the divorce, the comments got uglier because the pity didn't work anymore. "So you're just Alone then? Relatives would ask. Don't worry, my mum would say loudly at dinners. She'll meet someone younger who doesn't want kids. Like I was bargaining for scraps. When I bought a small apartment by myself, tiny, 1 bedroom, nothing fancy, Mark laughed and called it a shoebox for your lonely future. He said it in front of people. Everyone laughed. My dad laughed the loudest, like he was proud of the joke. I didn't have a dramatic comeback. I just stopped sharing anything real with them. I went quiet. I started working more. I got a job in corporate procurement and discovered I was good at it. Good at negotiating. Good at reading people. Good at finding leverage without being cruel. I saved aggressively because security felt like the only thing I could control. I traveled when I could, at first cheap trips, hostels, overnight buses, red-eye flights. The first time I went somewhere alone, I cried in a train station bathroom because it felt like I was doing something I wasn't allowed to do. Then I walked out, wiped my face, and bought a ticket anyway. The thing nobody tells you is that freedom isn't always fun at first. It's quiet. It's confronting. It means you can't blame your unhappiness on a husband or kids or your parents or anyone else, because it's just you and your choices. I had nights in my 30s where I sat on my balcony and wondered if they were right. Not because I suddenly wanted kids, but because being the odd one out in your own family does something to your nervous system. It makes you second-guess your instincts, like they're defective. Then life started to get steady. Not glamorous, just steady. I bought a second apartment as an investment. I built a consulting business on the side. I made friends who didn't treat my uterus like a public planning document. I dated. Sometimes seriously, sometimes not, but always with the upfront honesty that scared off the wrong people quickly. No kids, I'd say early, and watch who tried to argue me into changing. When someone tried, I walked. I learned to treat that as information, not a challenge. Meanwhile, my family built the life they insisted was the only one that mattered. Tessa had 3 kids, with a man named Blake, who was charming in public and useless in private. Mark had 2 kids, and a habit of needing help that always came with a sob story and never came with repayment. My parents poured themselves into being grandparents, the way they'd never poured themselves into being parents. They posted photos like trophies. They talked about our legacy like it was a brand. And every time their lives got hard, which is often, because kids are hard, and money is hard, and marriage is hard, they turned it into a morality play, where my freedom was selfishness. Must be nice, Tessa would say when I visited. Some of us can't just run away to Europe. Run away, like I was escaping responsibility instead of building my life intentionally. Here's the part that makes me sound cold if I say it wrong. I loved my nieces and nephews. I still do. I showed up to birthdays. I brought gifts. I sat on floors and played board games and listened to Tessa complain until midnight because she needed someone to witness her exhaustion. I babysat when I visited, not because I owed her, but because I cared. But there was a line, and my family spent years trying to drag me over it. They didn't want me to be the fun aunt. They wanted me to be the backup parent, the unpaid nanny, the emergency fund, the we can dump the kids on you because you don't have a real life option. Tessa started calling it your turn, like motherhood was a communal chore she could assign. You don't get it, she'd hiss if I said no. You have no idea what tired is. And my mum would back her up, always. Family helps, she'd say. You're not contributing in other ways. The first time my mum said that, I remember exactly where I was. Her kitchen. The same kitchen where she used to tell me not to embarrass her. She was making coffee. She didn't even look at me when she said it. You're not giving us grandkids, she said, matter of fact, like she was reading a grocery list. So you can at least help with Tessa's childcare costs. I stared at her. Excuse me? She finally looked up, annoyed. You have disposable income. Tessa's drowning. You can't just sit there acting like your choices don't affect anyone. My choices. As if I'd done something to Tessa by not reproducing. That's when I started pulling away for real. Not dramatic no contact. Just distance. Boundaries. Less answering. More, I'm busy. More, I can't. The more I did that, the more my family decided I was getting weird. My dad told me once, you're turning selfish as you get older. Like selfishness was a disease you catch from traveling. Last year, when I turned 50, I didn't throw a big party. I went to Japan. I'd been saving and planning it for years. Kyoto in spring, a little ryokan stay, a stupidly expensive tea ceremony that made me feel like a kid again because it was so different from my everyday life. I posted a few clips, nothing deep, just little moments. A street at dusk, a bowl of ramen, my suitcase rolling over cobblestones, and at the end of one reel, because I was feeling brave and a little raw about the milestone, I said one line into the camera. People told me I'd regret not having kids. I'm 50, and my life is mine. That was it. I didn't name anyone. I didn't call anyone out. I didn't say, and my sister is miserable. I didn't do the cruel version. But the internet did what it does. Someone stitched it and turned it into a debate. Someone else reposted it with that child-free label, and suddenly, strangers were projecting their entire family trauma onto my face. And my family, who has been making my reproductive choices a public topic since I was 19, decided I had humiliated them by speaking the truth without their permission. The plane lands hours later, and the second I turn airplane mode off, my phone detonates again. Voicemails, texts, missed calls, a DM from a producer, a message from Jenna, my cousin who has always been quietly kind, just saying, "You okay?" And then, the one that makes my chest go tight, a message from my mum, sent as a photo of a handwritten note, like she's in a movie. It says, "We raised you. You owe us respect." I sit on the edge of the hotel bed, and my hands start shaking again. Not from fear this time, but from this deep, exhausted rage. Respect. They want respect. They want silence. They want me to absorb years of jokes and pressure and must be nice, and then keep my mouth shut when I finally say one honest sentence at 50. Tessa sends a voice note that is 8 minutes long. I don't even open it. Mark texts, "So you're famous now? Maybe send Mom and Dad some money since you're rolling in it." Rolling in it. Like my savings didn't come from decades of discipline and saying no, and living smaller than my paycheck. Like his debt didn't come from choices and chaos and ego. My dad leaves a voicemail that starts with, "We need to talk as a family," and then immediately shifts into, "Your mother is distraught," because of course the focus is her feelings, not my life. Then the real punch lands. A message from my niece Ava, Tessa's oldest, 14, sent from a new account, because I think Tessa monitors her phone. It just says, "Aunt Maya, please don't stop visiting because of Mom. I'm sorry." And I have to put my phone down because my eyes blur and my throat tightens. And I hate that the kids are always the collateral damage in adult ego wars. That's when I realize what my boundary needs to be. Not dramatic, not cruel, clear, specific, written, so they can't later claim I said it wrong or didn't mean it. I open the family group chat. It's still screaming. People are arguing. My mom is typing like a hostage negotiator. My aunt is posting Bible verses about honoring parents. Mark is making jokes. Tessa is posting screenshots of my reel like evidence. My dad has written, "This is private," 15 times in a row, as if repeating it turns the internet off. I don't scroll. I don't engage. I type one message, and I keep it short, because anything longer becomes a wrestling match. I'm not apologizing for my life. I'm not discussing kids, money, or owing anyone. Do not call me to argue. If you contact me to ask for childcare, cash, or to shame me, I will not respond. If you want a relationship with me, speak to me like an adult, and stop using my choices as a family joke. I send it. Tessa immediately replies, "Wow, so you're abandoning your family now." My mum replies, "After all we did for you." Mark replies with a laughing emoji and, "Guess the temple fixed her attitude." My dad calls. I let it ring. He calls again. I let it ring. My mum calls. I let it ring. My phone keeps buzzing like a trapped insect, and I just stare at it until the buzzing stops. Then I do something I've never done before. I go into my contacts, and I set my parents' calls to go straight to voicemail, not blocked. Just not allowed to hijack my nervous system in real time. I mute the family group chat for a year. A year. The longest option. It feels like exhaling after holding my breath for decades. I check Ava's message again. I reply to her only, "I'm not going anywhere. None of this is your fault. I love you." Then I add, because I mean it, and because I want her to see a different model of adulthood than the one she's watching at home. Adults are responsible for their own choices, even when they're loud about it. My phone buzzes one more time. A new voicemail from my mum. I don't open it. I don't need the guilt soundtrack tonight. Instead, I open the hotel window. The city sounds drift in. Cars, voices, something faintly musical. My suitcase is still half unpacked. My passport is on the desk. Tomorrow I'm supposed to go to a museum I've wanted to see for years. I sit on the edge of the bed, look at the quiet screen, and feel the weird mix of sadness and relief settle in my chest. I'm not celebrating their struggle. I'm not laughing at them babysitting while broke. I'm just done being punished for not choosing the same path. My dad calls again. The screen lights up. "Dad." I watch it ring. I let it stop. A text arrives right after. "Answer. This is important." I type one reply. One line. The line that would have started a war 10 years ago. The line I couldn't say because I still wanted their approval more than I wanted peace. "No." I hit send. I put the phone face down. And for the first time since my reel went viral, the room feels like it belongs to me again.